Whoa, what is going on at twitch.tv/IVE? It's your boy Dan, aka Drive. Bring you guys the top cut of our first ever Daybreak premiere event. What a crazy day we've had. These casters have just grinded out over the last 6.5 hours. It has been nuts, man. We've seen some crazy decks, we've seen some crazy ideas, and it all comes down to just 8 casters left here in this top cut. Absolutely bonkers. Super duper hype, man, and I cannot wait to see what decks people are going to be bringing, what kind of strategies people are going to be bringing, all sorts of good stuff. It is going to be so much fun, man, and we're going to be doing some serious hype content, covering all sorts of stuff here. We've got our top cut right here. I can block my face. And we've got Jyak finished up. The #1 seed, Bean Soldier, who won the last Elestrals tournament, our #2 seed. Whodat, Brett Knox here, #3 seed. Distant Coder is the 4th seed. We got Benjamin Lawrence, some new faces, JJPM, Dials, and Rybot. Rounding out our top 8, I know Swolex ended up bubbling out at 9th, which was pretty rough there. But it's looking to be a pretty awesome day today, like I said, as we're going to be covering these clashes. Let's get it. So as you can see here, Jyak going to be taking on Rybot here in the quarterfinals. Distant Coder versus Ice Pal. Bean Soldier against Dials on the other side of the bracket. And Whodat going against JJPM. I've actually decided to cover in round 1 the Jyak versus Rybot clash. The reason why I'm covering that clash is because Jyak went undefeated in Swiss. He went 6-0, including beating out Bean Soldier in, I believe, the last round of Swiss, which is a big deal because Bean Soldier actually had beaten him in the last tournament. So getting that, you know, having that happen and making all that, I mean, we got to check it out. We got to check it out because my dude, you know, he's 6-0. He's 6-0. We got to see what he's cooking. We got to see what he's cooking today. All right, we've got Jyak throwing down against Rybot in this one, man, and I'm very excited because these two casters have some really, really interesting stuff in terms of their decks, right? So when we look at the decks without giving too much insight, Jyak here is kind of running this amalgamation of just like really, really strong Elestrals and you know, kind of we see the new, you know, the new Spectrus and things of that nature, whereas you've got Rybot rocking kind of the Earth package, right? So he's going to kick it off with a Jolt in here. That's going to immediately get him his Stadium Search, and that's a really good start for Rybot here, as he's going to get that kind of consistency tool that he's looking for by getting that Foley Forest. A lot of casters opt to not even run Stadiums in their decks, and when they do that, the Stadium on the other side can actually prove to be really problematic. So something to keep an eye out for here. Rybot going to be able to kind of set the stage early with that Foley Forest, if they so choose to do so, buffing up every single one of those Earth Elestrals. And again, we're talking about an Earth Nexus deck, which is going to really rely on cards like Demeter to get their effects off and power down the opponent. So Jyak going to make their first turn, going to kick things off with the Mustation, get it going with the Crab. Now, obviously, Mustation does have the ability to bump itself up to 6 attack here. We're going to see that expend right away and immediately pressure the Jolton. It can be a little expensive in terms of spirit consumption, and a Gorgon's Gaze going to hit the field right here. The Gorgon's Gaze popping up on Rybot's end, and that is going to immediately shut down the Mustation. Incredible value there for Rybot, as Gorgon's Gaze will stop the attack, save the Jolton, and then force the Mustation to have to use its effect on the next turn, right? So that's going to be really, really big, and this is going to be interesting to watch because, like I said, Rybot's going to be looking to try to take advantage. He actually pulls, looks like he pulled spirits off of the Jolton, so maybe looking to try to ensure that he doesn't end up with too many spirits on the field at the same time. A very interesting play there. I do believe he pulled the spirit off the Jolton to stop the attack. I'm a little confused why he did that, though, if you're going to let the Jolton go down. But he did stop the Mustation, and ultimately, I'm actually really confused about that play. I'm not going to lie. Rybot going to draw for his turn, and let's see what he's got cooking. We know he's got the Foley Forest, and let's see what he's going to do. He's going to grab a Earth Spirit here and go right into the Mudlet. Mudlet can immediately pressure his opponent by swapping position, but not really an optimal situation because Mudlet doesn't want to change the position of Mustation. Mustation is going to respond here and go for an Expend, which will make it so it has 6 attack until the end of the turn, making it so Mudlet is going to be unable to attack over it Obviously, you're going to keep it in attack position here. And Jyak going to draw for his turn. Mudlet, really, really powerful when you could pair it up with the Nexus mechanic, allowing you to get like Altar of Stars to activate its effect again, or, you know, potentially, you know, just using Nexus in general. But there's going to be the Galaxy. Galaxy is a huge play here for Jyak, as it does immediately set up the power of his Mustation. Both Galaxy and Mustation are going to be rocking with 6 attack and 5 attack respectively, and now they can put a ton of pressure on, and Tsunami does not work in this situation. So Rybot going to be in a situation where he's really wishing he still had that Gorgon's Gaze. There's a poison-tipped arrow going to come out onto the field, and that is going to take on that Galaxy. That's going to be really big, as at the end of the turn, the Galaxy, much less of an issue. He'll take 1 Spirit of damage. No, he's going to go for the Shield of Achilles here. The Shield of Achilles will bounce back that Mustation, send it right back to his hand. We're going to see an extra Spirit from that, and then an extra Spirit from the PTA. And assuming I got that right, he's down to 13 Spirits. Jyak actually kind of playing right into his strategy, though, as his efficiency is insane right now, but he does not have any field presence. Rybot has an opportunity here now to try to put on the offensive. We're going to see an Earth Spirit here from Rybot into another Mudlet, and he's going to set some back row to protect him. The Mudlet is going to be able to fire off an attack, and the Foley Forest here going to buff that Mudlet up to 4 attack. And again, most importantly, provide Rybot with that support in case he does have something like an Altar of Stars play. Jyak going to be forced to just take 1 Spirit of damage here. This does put Rybot in a potential Lavalith position, so that's something to keep an eye out on. Jyak with 15 Spirits, got to be feeling pretty comfortable there. And there is the Lavalith. This is exactly what players have been forced to play around. Lavalith, a menace from the Frostfall metagame. And we're going to now see that Altar of Stars immediately in response. Going to cost him 1 Spirit. That's going to go to the Mudlet, and that's going to force the Lavalith into defense position. But the Gorgon's Gaze comes off here on Jyak's end to stop Mudlet's effect. Absolutely massive. He can actually do a couple things here. He can force the Spirit back onto the Foley if he wants to negate the Nexus here. But I think if you're Jyak, you just let him do it, but you just negate the receive effect to keep that Lavalith in attack position and prevent the Mudlet from changing its position, because now Rybot's going to be left with an empty field. But it seems as though he's going to let the... I'm very confused. Oh, the Altar of Stars is actually going to change the Lavalith anyway. So I would say that that's a really good situation for Rybot. Rybot ends up in not a bad spot. The Altar saves him there, being able to change the position of the Lavalith, whereas Jyak was going after the Mudlet. So kind of an interesting breakdown there. And now Rybot has an opportunity to really get back in this one and climb back over this Lavalith if he can get a 4 attacker on the field. This has been a really wonky clash so far, and it looks like Jyak really debating on his decisions. He still is in main phase, has an opportunity to make a play, but his Lavalith forced into defense. We're going to see just 1 back row set here, and Rybot looking to make a big play. Going to be looking to get something like a Viscerus would be massive right now. That if you're Rybot, that's what you're looking for, or like a Demeter plus Equalinks. Those are the kind of plays you're looking for, but it looks like he's actually going to be forced to expend to draw here, which would be pretty bad. You really want to take this opportunity to get some momentum back in this one, but he does indeed just go for an expend to draw. Not the position you want to be in if you're Rybot, unless you can find some back row. You're going to need some really important back row here. But the Demeter is actually massive. Demeter, the goddess of the harvest, coming out with 2 spirits on it, and that's going to allow him to disenchant from the Demeter to buff the Mudlet up to 6 attack, which will allow it to attack over the Lavalith, but it's met with a Tsunami. Tsunami going to change the position of that Mudlet to defense position and prevent the Mudlet from attacking over the Lavalith. Now it's going to come down to, does Rybot have a way to prevent this Lavalith from running over him? And we know that the Mustation is going to hit the field as well. So Mustation comes out to the field and can immediately pressure. And Rybot looks at his face down rune and not going to be able to make a play there. So Mustation going to be able to put the pressure on. We're going to see the Mustation go for an attack. He must have expended for it. I missed it. And Rybot looking to make a play here. He's going to go for the Altar of Stars. Going to Nexus. Oh, man, this is a tough call. He's going to want to switch the positions of some different Elestrals. He's going to pull a Spirit off of his Mudlet. He's going to Nexus the Spirit onto Demeter. And then he's going to do what? Change the position of Lavalith and take 1 from Mustation? Is that kind of the plan here? No Bloom, so no opportunity here to do that big play, but the Altar of Stars. And that's what this new Earth Nexus deck is looking to do. Take advantage of Mudlet, utilize cards like Bloom to get multiple effects. I think he's gonna just take a direct hit here on this Mustache and try to force this Lavalith to defense. This has been a really interesting set of interactions, and even I'm a little bamboozled here, but he will take the spirit damage, and unfortunately he's not able to get the momentum that he's looking for, but he did get an extra spirit on his Demeter. This is where something like an Equal Links otherwise could be really big. The Earthquake gonna come out. That's pretty massive. He's gonna pull a spirit off of the Demeter, use the Earthquake to take out the Lavalith, and now he's gonna need to go on the offensive. But does he have an Elestral here? Down to just 5 spirits on my calculations. Looks like he's gonna expend to draw again, not finding the answers he needs. I think I only see 3 spirits left, actually. I have him at 4, but I think he is only at 3. And an Astrabbit on Jyak's side of the field. An incredibly powerful card at this stage of the game, where you can, when you're up, and you can just grab whatever you want. Jyak decisively grabs whatever he just found. He knew exactly what he wanted there. That could be a counter rune. That also could be, you know, some support like an Ambrosia. But he's got a nice lead here in an open field. He's going to set a rune face down. 2 spirits are going to be taken here from Rybot. And he's up in a really tough spot now with just 1 spirit to go. Looking for an Elestral and an Ambrosia. Needs something big here. Something like a Vertilith would be massive. He's going to find a rabbit of his own, though. And the poison-tipped arrow flies onto the field. If Rybot does not find an Ambrosia, this one is over. And he needs even more than that, to be honest, because he's not going to have a way to answer this upcoming onslaught that's coming his way. He shows his hand. It's a bunch of Elestrals, but not enough. He will scoop the game, and Jyak takes this one and goes up 1-0 in a best of 3 here in our quarterfinals of our first Daybreak Premier event here. Rybot gonna start their day off here down 1-0. Gonna be able to draw into 5 cards to get this party started. And Jyak gonna draw their initial hands. Both casters have the opportunity to mulligan on their first turn if they so desire. Mulligan, you pay 2 spirits, you shuffle your hand back into your deck, and you kind of start over with a new hand. But looks like both casters pretty content with what they've got. A Thunder Spirit. Rybot might be looking to start this one off with a Jolton or an Astrabbit again. And it's going to be the Jolton again. So we kind of see the same starting strategy from Rybot. But one of the things to take note of is that, again, the Foley Forest can be so advantageous for Rybot, right? Like, Foley Forest gives you the +1. It can make it so you can hit over some of the big threats, like the 5 attackers that you might be facing down. It turns Viscerus into a 6, which can be really advantageous. But it also puts more spirits on your field, making you a little bit more susceptible to that scary Lavalith that Jyak was so effective at running in game 1. So Rybot gonna set a rune face down, gonna set, nope, just the 1 and pass his turn. Let's see if Jyak puts on the immediate pressure again, mirroring game 1 with the Mustache. He's gonna go with the Nekruff actually this time. Nekruff with a Water Spirit, though. That's going to misenchant it, and he will indeed take down the Jolton and get off to a good start. Now, I know a lot of players opt to misenchant their Nekruffs with a Water Spirit, one of the unique mechanics of Elestrals. You can do that to play around cards like Tsunami. I think if you're Jyak, though, in game 2 going into it, I'd probably just properly enchant the Nekruff. You have an opportunity to get an extra spirit of damage there, and the risk of a Tsunami, in my opinion, is pretty minimal, especially given... Like, if I was Rybot, I'd be siding my Tsunamis out after that first game, but Jyak, obviously, a better player than me, so what do I know? Mudlet hits the field. It's going to change the position of the Nekruff and clean it up, and a good spot for Rybot to be with 1 face-down rune and maintaining that 1 spirit on field, so not a terrible position to be in. Here comes the Spectrus, making its debut on stream. The first time we get to cast and see Spectrus in the Daybreak metagame, and is going to plow through that Mudlet as these 2 casters just looking to establish some sort of field presence here and start to activate some of their combos. In Rybot's case, you're not going to see too many combos on Jyak's case, right? Jyak's game plan is really straightforward. Spirit conservation, resource management, trade 1 for 1, and then make big plays towards the end. Here comes a Rabbit on Rybot's end. Astrabbit, an incredibly powerful card, giving him some really good advantage at this point in the clash, and it can stand up against Spectrus, so a really good place to be if you're Rybot. The one thing you don't want to see, though, you don't want to see that Mustache right now, because Mustache, one of the few things that can indeed hit over the 5 defense. of that rabbit. So let's see what we got going on with that. Will Jyak have a response? And again, if Rybot can hold his footing here, this could be his chance to really get advantage here in game 2. Gonna set another rune back in the back row, set another one 3 back rows, so he probably grabbed a counter rune from that rabbit. Jyak will draw a Spectrus, a really threatening new Elestral. A lot of people anticipated Spectrus to become one of the most dominant threats in the metagame because it turns off effects like Galaxies, and it prevents them from really doing anything. But here's Jyak actually running it, and he's got the Boom Bat! This is a very cool tech that we saw pop up in the metagame in the last Frostfall event. Boom Bat as a side deck option because it's so powerful in this context. The Boom Bat comes in, and it's a 1-cost Earthquake, essentially, clearing the rabbit there without any problems, and Rybot forced to expend an additional spirit because Spectre is going to hit directly. So that's actually really, really hype there on Jyax, and a really good play. Not taking advantage of field control, like doesn't get too many spirits on board, but gets the advantage of the destruction. Here comes an Equal Links. This could be Rybot's chance to make a big push. Does he have the Demeter to pair with it? And does he have the back row to protect his Demeter? There is the Demeter. She's going to come out, and she's going to do her thing with that big, big boosts. Going to come down with 2 spirits on it, and the Nexus mechanic on Equal Links is going to target and destroy that face down rune. What does Jyak have face down? Is it a response? Is it a shield? No, it's a Tsunami. Tsunami is so massive every single time because it's just so brutal to run into. The Tsunami forces the Equal Links to defense position, and Jyak gains all of his momentum right back. Terrible situation for Rybot, but Rybot says, no, I'm going to Altar of Stars, and I'm going to respond to this right now. Altar of Stars is massive. Let's see what he's going to do here on this play. This is what Rybot needs to be able to take out this Spectrus and gain field control. He will use 1 spirit to use the altar. He's going to Nexus back to the Demeter. He's going to force that Spectrus. He's going to keep the Spectrus in attack position and move his Lynx into attack position of itself. Yeah, he's got it. No, the Spectrus should be in defense position because of that. The Altar of Stars, ladies and gentlemen, big plays there, and now he can disenchant from the Demeter. He doesn't even need to actually disenchant from the Demeter because the Spectrus is in defense position from the previous Tsunami, and now Lynx can take it out. So just to recap that play, Tsunami shifted them to defense after Equal Links popped it. Both Elestrals were in defense position. Rybot responded with the Altar of Stars to put his Lynx back into attack position, and now they're resting on your laurels, man. It's so rough. It is so rough. Resting on your laurels will indeed take out the Equal Links. And a Lavalith hits the field too. Jyak is going to be able to save a little bit here by using a poison-tipped arrow to save his Demeter. But he's going to be taking 2 spirits of damage from the Lavalith, and then he's going to be forced to take another spirit to land that PTA to take down that Lavalith. So ultimately, if you're Rybot, you're going to take a lot of damage here. You can see his spirits being depleted, but he clears the Lavalith. This is going to be tough. This is going to come down to who can stick an Elestral longer. Jyak having the flexibility there to drop a Laurels to clear the Equal Links and then still get Lavalith out is so incredibly powerful. And Rybot going to be forced to respond here. Jyak looks like it's 13-9, and with Jyak up 1-0 here, we'll see how this goes. Another Spirit gets expended on Rybot's end. Was that to draw? Let's see. I think they're just checking to make sure everything's all square. Rybot going to draw his card down to 9 spirits. Here we are at the midway point of this clash. He will find an Earth Spirit. What is it going to be? It's going to be that Viscerus. Viscerus, a very powerful Earth Elestral, but it doesn't get to do quite what it wants to do when there's no Elestrals for it to take out. And the big question is here, does Rybot have any back row? He does not. So this is just an exposed Viscerus. No back row. Jyak going to be in a position where he can immediately take it out. And we got the showdown. The Stained Glass Viscerus versus the Spectrus. And the craziest thing is Spectrus wins this one because Spectrus will suppress the Viscerus in the attack step, shut off its effect, and make it so Spectrus at 5 attack beats the 4 attack Viscerus and ultimately takes it down. So absolutely massive there when they enter battle. I'm sorry, in the battle step rather. It takes out the Viscerus. So Spectrus ultimately comes out on top, the Lunar Nexus of Viscerus. And here comes an Earth Spirit. What is Jyak or Rybot cooking? Is it another Mudlet? Could be massive. It's going to be the Moss Station. Moss Station sporting 6 attack, but Moss Station does not beat Spectrus. This is not an advantageous position to be in. They trade. So Moss Station gets to 5 attack because of the Foley Forest. It gets his effect shut off. And then an Astrabbit on Jyak's end. Gonna be able to give him tremendous card advantage here. Wow. So Rybot ended up having to trade his Moss Station to take out the Spectrus, and then a Rabbit hits the field and just provides so much advantage for Jyak. We saw this in the last clash as well. Jyak able to get that Rabbit out, get that extra card off the top of his deck, and again, continue to provide offensive pressure. And when you're able at this point in the clash to be able to attack directly with Rabbit when your opponent is so low, and then you set a back row to make them deal with it, it's just really, really difficult to be in this position if you're Rybot. And there is that back row. Rybot going to be forced to expend a Spirit here down to just 5. He's going to be looking to try to get another Elestral out and maybe get an Ambrosia going because he's running a little bit low here. It's going to be an Earth Spirit, and it's going to be the Equilinks again. So does have the opportunity here to use his Foley Forest and pop that back row. If he misses, it's going to be brutal. Does Jyak have a response here on the Nexus? It's another Tsunami! Absolutely devastating. The Tsunami comes in and sweeps him away. Equilinks forced to defense, Rabbit forced to defense, and Rybot every single time he's tried to take out that back row. Jyak responds perfectly with Tsunami, and ultimately it leaves Rybot in a very, very susceptible position. Because Nekruff is here, and Nekruff with his 5 attack, he can play around a Tsunami himself with a Water Spirit if he has any left. Let's find out if Jyak does. He's actually going to go for that Leviathan, making him immune to the potential Tsunami face down in Rybot's end. Rybot needs to save his Link somehow. Does he have an answer for it? He does not. Equilinks goes down. Rabbit hits directly. And now Rybot hanging on by a thread. Jyak still at 8 spirits. Absolutely dominant performance by a deck that just does not quit. Puts on so much pressure. Lavalets and Tsunamis. There's a Laurels coming out. That's pretty big though. Rybot trying to climb back in. He could take out any one of those Elestrals. You probably take out the Nekruff because of the attack stat. Does he have an answer though? A cat runs across the table. He's gonna set a back row down to just the 1 spirit left, it seems. 0 spirits. It's a Moss Station. He can attack over the Rabbit and take him out, but then he'll be forced into defense. The cat coming out. Jyak just needs a body. He finds the Rabbit. Rabbit's back, absolutely insane. He's got another one. He's got an Earthquake as well. Slam it down. Let him know. Jyak with a dominant performance here in the quarterfinals, going undefeated in Swiss rounds, 6-0, and now he is 7-0 as he has officially taken down Rybot in this one with no responses left, no spirits to go. Jyak once again dominating. Now, it is worth noting that earlier in this tournament, Jyak faced the gauntlet of casters and still held it down. This deck has proven to be incredibly strong so far in this metagame, and it seems to be kind of a variation of what people were running at the end of Frostfall, this very efficient strategy that allows you to just maintain board presence and then drop those Lavalets down and deal some massive damage. Jyak taking it decidedly 2-0 as these two casters are now going to be diving and reconfiguring their side decks as they obviously have to get ready, or Jyak in this case has to get ready for the next round. Going into the semifinals now. Absolutely nuts. And again, don't forget, Jyak won the last event. Or I'm sorry, came in second in the last event, so he's got to be feeling pretty good about his performance. And again, congratulations to Rybot for making it this far, getting in the top 8 in this tournament, the biggest Elestrals tournament yet. Is definitely no joke. So shout outs to both these casters for throwing down and making it happen.